Okay, we're going to continue our work with multiplicative comparison problems today, and our objective is how we can write equations for those types of problems. So there's a few things that we should remember. One is a review. That multiplicative comparison is when you compare two things together using multiplication. Now today we're using equations to figure out the number sentence. And with equations we have to use letters to represent the missing information. So whatever the question is that we're answering, that question will tell us the variable and what the variable is going to represent. The variable is the letter that represents the missing number. The variable is just another word for the letter that is representing the missing number. So let's use those ideas in number 1. And let me remind you, some of us today in class use this idea of variables and equations. So some of you might be able to piece this together today. Susie is 4 feet tall. There's a tree in her yard that is 9 times taller than she is. How tall is the tree in Susie's yard? Well, let's take a look. I'm going to use writing to help me with this equation. First, as always, we're circling the important words. And those important words and numbers include 4, 9 times tells me I'm multiplying, and I know is now tells me that something is equal. Is tells me that something is equal. So I'm going to write out that information. Susie equals 4 feet. There's a tree in her yard, so tree, that is, tree equals 9 times taller than she is. Now, who is this she? Well, this she is Susie, and we know that Susie is 4 feet tall. So that means we are multiplying 9 times 4 to get the height of the tree. So what's 9 times 4? Tree equals 36 feet tall. There you go. Answered our problem. Let's just check to make sure we answered the question. How tall is the tree in Susie's yard? Tree equals, or tree is 36 feet tall. We have found our answer. So in this one, the product of two numbers is what was missing, that last number. So we were missing 9 times 4 equals T. I'm using T because it represents the number of the tree. In this case, it is the product that was missing. So let's continue with number 2 and see if the variable changes, if it's in a different location because of how the word problem is written. So 2, the tree in Susie's yard is 36 feet tall. The tree is 9 times as tall as Susie. How tall is Susie? So Susie is our missing information. That's our question. So let's go through and circle our important information first, as we always do. We're going to need 36. We're going to need 9. I see times means multiply. Is means equal. Is means equal. And I already underlined how tall is Susie. So that's our question, which means we need the variable to be the height of Susie. So S equals Susie's height. So let's put all of this information together. The tree in Susie's yard is 36 feet tall. So tree equals 36 feet. The tree, again we have tree is, or equals 9 times as tall as Susie. But we don't know how tall Susie is. So we're going to use the letter S, as we already showed we were going to do. 9 times S. Now we can replace the word tree with the number 36 because we know the tree is 36 feet tall. So I'm going to put 36. Now we're missing one of the factors, and we all remember the word factor in our multiplication problem. So we ask ourselves, 9 times what equals 36? And I'm going to rewrite that over here. 36 equals 9 times S. And S is representing the height of Susie, how tall she is. 9 times what gives me 36? So I know 36 equals 9 times 4. So 4 is replacing the letter S as our answer. So we go back to our question. How tall is Susie? Susie is 4 feet tall. So notice in this question, we're using one of the factors as our variable. In the first, the product was our variable. In the second, the factor was the variable. So let's try number 3 and see if it's any different. Susie is 4 feet tall. The tree in her yard is 36 feet tall. How much taller is the tree than Susie? So let's start again with the important information. We need 4, 36, is tells us equal, is tells us equal. I'm going to write this out in words first. Susie equals 4 feet. Tree equals 36 feet. Now I'm going to draw an illustration as well because I think that's going to help me figure out what my equation is going to look like. I'm going to draw my tree that is 36 feet tall. And I'm going to draw Susie, who will be 4 feet tall. So we need to decide how many 4s, how much taller is the tree than Susie. And this should say how many times taller. And that times now is telling me that we're going to have to multiply. So how many times taller is the tree than Susie? So we're going to start with 36 for the tree equals 4, which is the height of Susie, times T. We need to find how many times taller. So now we ask ourselves, how many times taller is the tree than Susie? So 4 times what equals 36? So I'm thinking 36 equals 4 times 9. So let's go back to the question. How many times taller is the tree than Susie? Well, we just found out the tree is 9 times taller. And that would be our final answer. And in this last question, the T was also a factor. So in 2 and 3, they were factors, and in number 1, there's a product. So we have to be very careful of how we put our equations together. And we're going to use our keywords like is and times and how much more to determine how we put our equation together. So good luck on this, and I will see you tomorrow.